The name of that song is Leave a Light On, and it was written and recorded by my special guest today, Scott Cook. Scott, welcome to the Friday afternoon music mix.
Hey, Gregory, thanks so much for having me on.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. We've been trying to do this for a long time, and I'm glad we're finally able to get together and be able to talk a little bit about your music and some of your gigs that are coming up as well. Your radio promoter, of course, I've known you for a long time, but he sent me a copy of your latest release from 2020 called Tangle of Souls. And as we talked before the interview, this is my absolute favorite of all of your albums.
I'm so glad to hear that. It's great to be finally able to be out in the world, getting it to people in person.
You had a tough 2 years, haven't you, with what's been going on?
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Tell me a little bit, Scott. I know that you travel around the U.S. and Canada, and of course, in your own van. Of course, you've been to many countries. Tell me a little bit about your process of what you put together to come up with this great album, Tangle of Souls.
Well, I don't write a lot, so each couple years, I guess, as a collection of songs starts to come together, I start to think what is it about? Yeah, as these were coming together, I was just kind of thinking of that, just that bigger picture of the world as a tangle of souls, with all these stories intertwined, and how much all my traveling has just kind of increased the sense of the size of the whole thing. So yeah, that I added a couple cover tunes together with what I'd been writing over the past few years to put it all together, and then just kind of drew the threads out of that. The book then is kind of based on each song is the jumping off point for a chapter in the book. Yeah, I'd been through a lot over the course of the 3 years since my previous album came out, and so a lot of talk about that, personal stuff, a lot of talk about kind of broader political and philosophical stuff.
It's really wonderful. I like it a lot. A lot of people, I think, when they see you, they're not aware that you hold both Canadian and U.S. citizenship.
Yeah, I was born in the States, and my folks moved us up to Canada when I was young. My extended family lives down here. I spend a lot of time down here. Yeah, still consider it my country. Still kind of think of the United States and Canada and Mexico as one big country. We're all in the same piece of land.
Absolutely. And let's talk too, in addition to your album, Tangle of Souls, which is available, I'm sure, at all the outlets, Amazon, iTunes, all those types of places, Spotify, any place you listen to music.
Well, you know what? I should say 3 singles from it are, but the rest of it is I'm sticking to my guns. Personally, I'm a lover of albums as a form. I loved, my early musical education was with my parents' record collection. I loved the whole experience of listening to a set of songs in order, reading the liner notes and all that. So yeah, I'm still carrying on that angle. And so I haven't wholeheartedly jumped into the streaming game, but I do release a few singles so that, if somebody's putting together a Spotify playlist, they got something to play.
That's great. Let's also mention to our audience that you've got a show tonight in Bellingham that is at the Honeymoon. That starts at 8:00 p.m. Also, then on the 27th in Ballard at the Homestead. And I think you have a dual billing on that one, don't you?
Yeah, Ellen Loper is sharing the show. It's a co-bill. That'll be our Seattle show for this trip. Yeah, it'll be the first time I've played a public venue show in Seattle in quite a while, so I'm really looking forward to that.
That's great. Can we do a second song from your latest album? I know you chose Say Can You See. How's that sound?
Yeah.
I love this country. I love the people and the land. But there's a lot of stuff happening that I can't understand. We got billions for bailouts. We got trillions for wars. But it's hard for working people to make a living anymore. Hear me out for a second. This ain't a partisan song. It ain't about right and left. It's about right and wrong. We're fighting over the scraps while a few are living like kings. 'Cause screwing us over's a bipartisan thing. And it's working people who made this country great, not the greedy opportunists or the peddlers of hate. And if a new day's coming, it's gotta come from you and me. Oh, say, can you see? See, I got a neighbor, we don't always agree. He's a bit of a redneck, according to a hippie like me. But if you're in the ditch, he'll pull you out, I know he will. And that's more than I can say for all those dickheads on the hill. He works hard for his family, he's got loyalty and pride. The company took all he gave and then cast him aside. 'Cause there's profit in poverty, hell, there's profit in prisons. And they don't even pay taxes, they just buy politicians. But it's working people who made this country great, not the greedy opportunists or the peddlers of hate. And if a new day's coming, it's gotta come from you and me. Oh, say, can you see? Oh, say, can you see? In New York Harbor, there's a lady with a flame, still calling in the huddled masses in liberty's name. But there's fear on the airwaves and hatred wrapped in the flag, turning strangers into enemies and our riches into rags. And a revolution to break the grip of greed don't need a strong man or savior, but I believe we're gonna need whatever magic this old world's got left to start, and all the ammunition in the chambers of our hearts. These working people who made this country great, not the greedy opportunists or the peddlers of hate. And if a new day's coming, it's gotta come from you and me. Oh, say, can you see? Oh, say, can you see?
Great song, Scott. Thank you. I want to talk a little bit about too what you've been doing on an online presence. And I know you've got some shows that have already been done. Some of them are on YouTube right now to watch. I think you've got at least one more, don't you, coming up?
Yeah, so I never really thought I'd get into the TV business, but during the pandemic, it had a lot of us pivoting to unusual things, and we started doing like monthly shows from home, me and my housemates. Yeah, more and more online stuff. So when my partner Pamela and I were at the tail end of 5-month tour, mostly in the States, when we set out on this trip, we decided to do a weekly show. So we've been doing Tuesday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific. This coming Tuesday will actually be our finale show, because we're crossing the border back into Canada after that. I mean, Tuesdays are starting to get busy, and it's it's getting into May. So,
Right.
But it's been really cool. We've had each week we have a different songwriter join us remotely in the back of the van. Yeah, it's a solar powered live stream from the back of our camper van Rodetta.
I bet you're having a lot of fun with that, aren't you?
We've been having a blast. Yeah, and the van's been great. We got it set up pretty good to live in. And this is where I'm doing this interview from right now, as a matter of fact. Yeah, it's been good to get around and see a lot of the country. When we left home, it was -30 Celsius, which is about the same as -30 Fahrenheit. But we just drove straight down to Texas. Yeah, where it's more comfortable to live in a van. Yeah, it's been a real adventure so far, and it's been cool to kind of connect with people in various places along the way.
Which reminds me, you are also a prolific writer as well as a balladeer, prairie balladeer, I think you like to be referred to. You have something you have called the Hobo Travelogue. Tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah, that's been oh gosh, must be at least 15 years that I've been putting that out. Yeah, in the beginning it was kind of like just a group email to my pals to tell them where I was at and what I was doing. It's just gradually grown over the years, that mailing list. Yeah, it still comes out every month or two, tells where I'm going and where I've been, relate some little anecdotes along the way. I think I've been really fortunate through doing this for a living to be furnished with constant reminders of just how kind the world can be, how generous people can be, how decent people are. And so yeah, I feel like, it's a way of kind of carrying news around, traveling around singing songs, and also telling stories from the road is a way of carrying small news, people news, and a way of kind of hopefully reminding people that there's plenty of people out there who think like you think. We're not so isolated as we may feel when we're just tuning into the social media and watching the news.
I want to let our listeners know that they can go to your website at scottcook.net and they can read the Hobo Travelogue, what's on there. And I also want to point out you're a pretty accomplished photographer as well. There's a lot of really beautiful pictures that are in your travelogue.
Oh, thank you. I just take them with my phone.
Do a good job. There are a lot of beautiful photos on there. It's great. Let's
Thank you.
let's remind our listeners that Scott's latest album, and it's excellent, is called Tangle of Souls. Also, he will be playing in Bellingham tonight, the 22nd, at 8 o'clock p.m. at Honeymoon, and then in Seattle on the 27th at Ballard at the Homestead. Any other gigs coming up?
Oh, yeah, there's a stack of them once we get across the border in Canada. We got a few Washington things, playing Kingston. What else? I guess and Olympia. Yeah, we're in Olympia on the 30th, and then we're crossing the border and there's a stack of them in Canada, making our way home, and then I'm headed out east shortly thereafter with my trio. So all the dates for that are on scottcook.net.
Yep, I'm looking at that right now at your website at scottcook.net. You can see all of his schedules and where he's playing in the US and in Canada. His latest album, Tangle of Souls, and then Honeymoon tonight at 8 o'clock p.m. in Bellingham, Washington. Scott, thank you so very much for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm glad we finally got together. I think I first saw you at a house concert many years ago, and we've talked about having the
Yes, sir.
interview, and it finally came together, and I'm really pleased that it did.
I'm really grateful that you could have me, Greg, and I'm really grateful for what community radio does to keep the music flowing and keep people connected.
You're very kind. I appreciate that so much. How about if we go out with my favorite song on the album, which is the title cut, Tangle of Souls? Sound good?
Cool. Thanks.